Good evening, members.
Diana?
It's great to have you this evening. I can see we are 19 participants, so we can just begin. We thank you so much for setting aside time to be with us today. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome Timothy Nzomo, who is my co-moderator, to open the session with a word of prayer, and then we are going to begin. Timothy? So because I can't get through to him, I'm going to open the session with a word of prayer. My name is Dan Onzera, as I said before. I am the Secretary General of KEPSOC, and I currently work with ABSA Kenya Limited. So let us believe and pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this day. As we begin our session, may you be in our midst, Almighty Father. May you enable us to comprehend whatever it is that you're going to learn today, Lord. And may we be able to impact, may it be able to impact our lives positively, Almighty Lord. If there's any to open the session with a word of prayer, may the Holy Spirit intercede. In Jesus' name we do believe and pray. Amen. Chris is going to, I'm going to welcome Chris, who is the head of partnerships, to give us a brief background about KEPSOC. Chris, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Otieno. I head the Directorate of Partnership and Resource Mobilization at KEPSOC. And my responsibility this evening, members, is to introduce you to what KEPSOC are, who we are, what we aspire to be, so that as we continue with our online lesson, as we continue with our this evening's learning, you can be able to relate who we are, what we do, how we do, with the days, like I said. Hello, can you hear me? Like I said, I head partnerships and resource mobilization. And now allow me to take you guys through what KEPSOC is. Number one item, what we are, is that we are a non-profit making organization, non-political affiliated organization, that we seek to bring together a multidisciplinary society of persons that are actively engaged in research and practice of criminology. And I'm happy to say, members, next week we shall delve ourselves deep with a number of lecturers and a number of lecturers who are our members to just discuss criminology and criminal justice research methods and corporate security versus criminology. So I'll be welcoming you guys to that presentation, to that lesson will be coming up next week. We'll be informed by our Director Training, Mr. Timothy, on when that will be. The next thing, KEPSOC is a Kenyan-based society. We have a lot of international membership. Our members come from far and wide globally. We are registered and incorporated in the year 2011 here in the country. And our incorporation is in line with Kenya Societies Act. So up to that level, members, I'd like to confirm that we are 100% compliant with the Kenya Societies Act. Of importance, members, is to know that we aim at pursuing and promoting scholarly and professional knowledge concerning the measurement, etiology, consequences, prevention, control, and treatment of crime and delinquency. More the reason why we engage our members in a lot of online learning, hoping and knowing they'll engage ourselves, we'll engage amongst ourselves, we'll create a network amongst ourselves. We will know each other, and every time you have a problem here and there, you know who to call for your problem for you to be easily assisted. We are now currently above 210 in terms of membership, and we'll discuss our membership categories in a short while. And this membership runs from within our national boundaries and without our national boundaries. And our members are categorized in 4 categories. Number 1 is KEPSOC membership. You can join KEPSOC as an individual. Whereas Chris, for example, Chris Otieno, I joined KEPSOC as a member, and our director of recruitment, Mr. DC Keboy, is responsible for this recruitment. I will take you through the whole recruitment procedure that requires a lot of vetting so that we know that we are dealing with the national, either within our boundaries or without our boundaries, and who meet the requirements of our society. The next level is associate membership. You are also allowed to join on the level of associate membership, to join organization under the associate membership. And we welcome a lot of our members, welcome everybody to consider all these membership options. Students, we also don't forget you, because we know after some years, you will also graduate, join the career, and take up a lot of responsibilities so that the society has a continuity plan where we are able to rotate our leadership and we're able to rotate our membership with reference to the life cycles of this universe or on Earth. We also welcome people to join in the level of corporate membership, and we have a lot of corporates who have brought their members to us and they've joined this organization. I'm not quite sure I'm allowed to mention them, but please know that yes, we have very formidable membership from corporate, from several corporates. Finally, we have the honorary membership category, where members join as honorary members, join the society as honorary members. And of course, DC Keboy, Director Recruitment, will be able to expand on this more, because they're the items that must be met before you graduate from one membership level to the next. We're also led by what we call a General Assembly. And from the General Assembly, we have a governorship, governing council. And this governing council, that's where we have all these directorates that come in. Training, which is all responsible for what we are doing right now, of course, in compliance with, in line, cooperation with partnership and resource mobilization, and also events planning. From there, we also have events planning headed by Paul Ngetich, Director of Event Planning. We have Research Directorate. We have Partnership and Resource Mobilization headed by myself, and we have Legal and Compliance headed by Michelle Gatemi. And then within the governorship, we have the executive. And the executive consists of the chairperson of the society. Now here is Kebene Limo. I'm afraid he's not with us this evening, but he'll be joining us as we continue. We have the Secretary General, who was just introduced herself, Madam Diana Nzere. We have the Vice Chairperson, Kate Karuga. She'll be introducing herself as the session goes on. And we have a treasurer of the society, who will be giving a financial report at some later days when we assemble as a team. So what are the responsibilities of these directorates? For example, recruitment, membership and certification. Every member who joins us is certified, is given a certification that they carry along with them, a membership card,
that defines who they are, or can present that to potential employers. And if they reference that document to us, we shall be able to defend it and come out so clearly that yes, you are our member and the category of membership that you fall under. Event planning. We put a lot of planning. We know the 6 P's in our management structures. Proper prior planning prevents poor performance. We have a very good director by the name of Paul Ngetich, who heads events planning, and he puts in a lot of planning, a lot of research, a lot of training and development just to ensure that what our members receive in terms of, for example, this online training is given at its best, industry best practice. Security, fraud, primary resources, and data management. We have an IT person, Andrew Lemosi, who handles this directorate. Very resourceful in terms of cybersecurity, in terms of IT backbone of our organization, and he does a lot of work behind there. When it comes to partnership, that's my responsibility. I am charged with the responsibility of going out, seeking members who can present ideas to us, develop our members, seeking corporate organizations that can join us or can sponsor their members to join us, and going out and seeking how we can partner with other organizations to ensure that security is well achieved. I'll mention an example. Here is OSPAS. We are working very closely with OSPAS, and I'm thankful for all those members who fill the data required by OSPAS. I'm pretty soon we shall see performance across the board on OSPAS and how we perform in our organization. Communication and bulletin board. Very soon, gentlemen and ladies, we will be seeing members. We will be seeing a lot of bulletin from our organization, patented to Capstock and others, free downloads for ease of reference to ensure that we develop our careers. Of course, ethics, risk, and compliance. We have Michelle heading this from a legal perspective, and she does some super job. And I'm very sure that the majority of us are aware that we as a society are pushing up a bill that governs the criminology career as a whole in the nation. And once that is passed, we shall all be required to subscribe to the requirements of that. Election board, we have an election board that really conducts our organization, really ensures that our organization is fair, free in terms of management, in terms of election, in terms of who we want to lead us. Benefits of being a member. As a member of Capstock, you have so many benefits. Number one, exclusive online resources. What we are doing right now, right? Our website should be ready pretty soon, and all these other resources that we're talking about will be there. We encourage you members, go to our website, download those white papers, download those patented papers, download those freeload papers, look at membership requirements, and look at all these trainings that we're posting in our online in our website, so that you're really clear with what you're talking and you're yes. Next thing, networking opportunities. Every person who is in this online meeting today, or every person who's a member of Capstock, has an item that you require in your professional lifespan, in a personal lifespan, and across the board. So we encourage our members, get to know who Capstock members are, get to know what they do, and get to know where they can plug in to enable you to enrich in your career, and to enable you to enrich in your social life and also professional life. Right? We have mentors, we have lecturers, we have police officers serving, we have military people serving, we have international scholars serving, we have military personnel experts from other countries, and we have risk managers all across the divide that are members of our organization. So I'd encourage members, plug into those members, get to know who is who, get in touch with our GC for you just to get to know who is where, so that you can be able to develop better. Professional development. I can attest that one of the persons who have really benefited in this professionally from Capstock, I've built a huge network of professional persons, and every time I have something that I require in terms of my professional career, I'm able to know who to call, and I get my resolve from that particular person, which I apply in my career and betters the performance of my department and myself as an individual. Before the days of coronavirus or C-19, we had lined up a number of workshops, a number of seminars and conferences. A number of them went through, and I'm sure those members who came to those workshops and seminars and conferences were able to see or were able to benefit in terms of the charge out for the trainings at very substantial cost purely because of their membership. Yeah. Publications, once we post them, accessibility will be at a very discounted price for bona fide members, for updated members, and things like that. We also help our members in resume building. Just the other day, I learned myself from this platform that resume requires another angle, not what I knew. So we help our members do this kind of develop their resume much better so they can be able to meet the requirements of the market, which is quite dynamic and evolving pretty fast. We reference the risks that are affecting the nation and the organizations as a whole. Mentorship, I'm proud to say that we have lots of mentors like myself who mentor a lot of skilled professionals in this platform. And I'm also happy to say that we mentor our membership from what, let me give an example of what we mentor our memberships in. If, for example, your organization requires you to develop better standards of your security, you can call on our GC members. You can come to your organization, and this is FOC members, FOC, free of charge. We'll come to your organization, we'll do a free risk assessment, a free physical survey, a free vulnerability check, and a free risk assessment for you, and then we can hand over that to you, and that makes it easier for you to develop your plan for that organization. I just wonder and I think that members should really plug into this because it really enriches your performance in that particular organization. So with all this stuff set out for KEPSOC, allow me to just share another slide here before I hand over. And this is purely what is our mission as a society? What is our mission? Look at what we sharing as our mission. What do we want to do? We want to ensure sanity. We know that where we've come from, there's a lot of quacks, guys going on TV with the same content, guys presenting content that's not good enough. So we want to come into this organization and ensure this professional field of ours has a lot of sanity, professionalism, there is discipline, there is ethical standards, there's integrity standards. So we are there to legal order and internationally acclaimed best practices of maintaining social order, security, crime management, administration of justice, constitutionalism, and the due process of law. More the reason why we're pursuing a bill which we know the president will be able to assent in the next coming few months, right? So why do we do that? We have one objective, in order that we may achieve sustainable growth and development of our people. Members, students are also our members, and we want to develop these students to the next level in their career, which is taking up the responsibilities that majority of us are holding right now when our time comes. We are saying we don't want to push guys out of their holdings. We just say that when the right time comes, then we have very good succession planning because we are a resource group that develops a lot of people to take up those kinds of responsibility, right? So we want to effectively enhance both individual and collective happiness amongst members of society and beyond. Yeah, when you see a member of society going on TV and speaking fact, not repetitive motion, not repetitive facts, but facts that are associated with society, then you become very happy because you are proud to associate yourself with that. And also employers, for example, traditional Kenyan employers can plug into us, and HR institutes can plug into organization and be able to source a very valuable human capacity or human capital, right? And our vision is a secure, just, united, and happy society in harmony with ourselves and with the global family. So thank you very much, members, for listening to me. And I want to take it back to our SG to take us to the next level of engagement. Over to you, Diane.
Thank you so much, Chris. I know Timothy is here with us. I would like to usher him so that he can be able to introduce to us the trainer of the day, Andrew Kimani. Over to you, Timothy.
Good evening. Are you able to hear me, guys?
Yes, we can.
All right. Thank you very much, Diana. My name is Timothy Nzomo. I am the director of training KEPSOC. And today I want to welcome you officially as also the director and also a co-moderator for this session. I have a very simple duty to you today, and I am hereby introducing our trainer for today, who is a very friend of mine who has vast knowledge and skills and a lot of understanding as far as the topic of today is concerned. His name is Andrew Getao Kimani. Andrew is a young man. I can say that because he's a very energetic man. He's currently the Chief Registrar, Chief Executive Officer, and the Board Secretary Registrar of the Transport Licensing Board. He has a lot of experience in security management and police studies. He was a personal assistant to the Principal Secretary in the Department of Wildlife, where he helped coordinate the office and does a lot of complex work. He's currently, he also served as a senior assistant county commissioner, D1, and later district officer with extensive and practical experience from many regions in the country on matters of administration, public service, police matters, and security. So that is our trainer for today. As I said from the beginning, he's a person who understands the topic of today, and I know we will all learn a lot from this, and we shall be interactive. And any person maybe who feels like he has an issue or a question or a concern, you can keep that so that we can have question and answer later on, as so that we can give him time to take us through the topic of today. So over to you, Andrew. Welcome, and feel at home and educate us today. Thank you. Back to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Timothy. Let me put the video on. I've had some problems connecting. I wanted to use my laptop, but I'm stuck with this. It's issues with technology. Now, today's topic is a review on the civilian oversight over the police. And my introduction is guided by what has been happening, especially during this COVID time. We all know what happened during among others. And the problem that is normally there with the police is that there's a lot of accountability and transparency is almost always overshadowed by their persistent visibility in all public affairs. And then this is magnified by the responsibility and the statutory obligations that police have over the safety and the citizens. Police, we can say they are perpetually worldwide. What you can interact with, that is by seeing police, you see government. So as it is, police exists to enforce the written law, and their functions vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, but it can be agreed that police perform some functions like they search properties, arrest for cognizable and also non-cognizable offenses. They have the powers to stop vessels, powers to detain, powers to cite, arrest offenders, suspects, at times shoot people who are a threat to society. The police also have advantages of weapons, property and lives of civilians. In comparative policing, you'll see that police are made subordinate to elected representatives. In the US, for example, they have elected mayors. In Belgium, they have what you call burgomasters, who is also the chief of police. And also other as a balance where the police are accountable to civilians. In Kenya, it's not any different. The police are made subordinate to civilian authority in various ways, which we are going to look at, including through the judiciary, the National Police Service Commission, and the chairman and the members are president. But then the crux of the issue today is that despite the enactment of the 2010 Constitution, there's still a lot that seems not to have been done. The narrative not changed on police brutality, and so many people, including myself, who we are going to discuss who they are. 2013, if you compare to 2018, 2019, they've actually tripled. On many occasions, the police are armed with AK-47 tear gas canister. They beat protesters, they injure. So we are going to look at how to make, if it is possible, these techniques that the police employ in managing lawful protest, why do they predate the new constitutional dispensation? And why is there? Why have they created a worrying trend similar to when there was a pre-independence tactics? As a result, you will find that members of the public or civil society, refugees, children, have all been subjected to these injuries, arbitrary arrest, and in some instances, even death. So the topic of today is on civilian oversight. What is civilian oversight? And what is the making of an independent police oversight? How do civilian oversight come in place? Civilian oversight agencies are typically established after either when there's an incident of police misconduct or when the community identifies the need for such an agency. So 2 ways, community driven or when an incident is there. Like if you go through the George Floyd case that we talked about, you'll find that the civilian oversights that are well established in the US, they kicked into action and went back to the investigation. But they are driven, or they were driven by the need of an incident that has elicited some kind of response. In America, for example, you have over 150 oversight agencies, not just one like what we have in Kenya. And in Africa, you only have 2, one in South Africa and the other one in Kenya. So the only 2 in Africa, but in America, you have over 150. They even have an association. Although there's no strict definition, there's no strict definition of what. Sorry, I'm using my phone. My laptop refused to connect. We were trying to connect it with Andrew, so at times calls are coming in. But I was saying there's no strict definition of what an oversight agency is, but they have basic functions that can be broken into 3 categories. There are those that are investigation focused. These conduct independent investigation of complaint against police officers. There are those that are review focused. These agencies review the operation of police department and aim to provide community input to internal investigation and procedures. And then the third one, they are auditor or monitor focused. These agencies are typically started out of statutory instruments or decrees. They mainly target large-scale or systemic reforms. So what makes a successful civilian oversight agency? Experts say that investigation-focused agencies, the first ones, are typically more successful at holding police forces accountable for wrongdoing or misbehavior because they focus on individual complaints. For any, just the misbehavior, individual complaint, those are words that we are going to use as we go along. But for any oversight agency to succeed, however, 3 factors are necessary, and this is something we try to work on. Independence. A civilian oversight agency should be independent from the police department so that recommendation can be trusted. And there's this term of independence. Every other statutory body wants independence. So independence so that you can work according to the recommendations that are there. Number 2, resources. You must have adequate resources for you to set up offices, for you to pay staff, for you to be able to investigate, and for you to quantify cases. And then number 3, power. Power. The civilian oversight agencies need investigation. So these 3 ingredients are important. Civilian oversight. Independence is particularly in civilian oversight agencies aim to improve the operations of police department and correct mistakes. Without independence, it's impossible to form an unbiased recommendation and implement reforms. So always at the point where you're being controlled. So I will have at some point, I know I don't have a lot of time, but I wanted to talk a bit about police accountability, where both individual police forces as well as law enforcement agencies responsible for effectively delivering basic services of crime control and maintaining order while treating individuals fairly and within the bounds of law. That is what police accountability is. Of course, there are some expectations of the police regarding the upholding of the law, regarding due process, search, seizure, etc. when you come to the Constitution, where is this one based? IPOA or police accountability? National Security, Section 230 at B says, national security is respect for the rule of law, democracy, human rights, and fundamental freedoms. That is there. When you come to 239, national security organs, which of course are KDF, NIS, National Police Service. On Section 5, it says the national security organs, the ones that we've just are subordinate to civilian authority. One, they have a cited either way by civilians, and they must despite civilians. For example, national security organs like the KDF, the president is a CNC. When you come to the police, you have the National Police Service Commission. There must be subordinate civilian authority. That is in the Constitution. To our Independent Police Oversight Authority. What is IPOA? Because that is the crux of the matter today. IPOA is the Independent Police Oversight Authority. It was established through an act of parliament in November 2011 to provide civilian oversight for over the work of the police in Kenya. Inaugural report started work in 2012. So what are the mandates of the IPOA? The IPOA Act mandates the authority to do 7 things. 1, investigate serious injuries caused by police action. It also monitors internal affairs unit of the police, so it oversees also the IAU. It also conducts inspections on police premises, that is in the IPOA Act. It also monitors and investigates police operations and deployment. And finally, it also reviews the functioning of the internal disciplinary process and reports also. Let me dive a bit in depth into the functions of IPOA. To investigate deaths and serious injuries caused by police action. Deaths, so a bit from the website or a bit of what they say to be doing. Death and serious injuries that arise from police action are investigated by IPOA, and disciplinary action or prosecution is recommended by them, either to the DPP or to the magistrate. This is aimed at preventing impunity. They also investigate police misconduct. The authority receives complaints from members of the public on the police misconduct and undertake independent investigation. The authority also receives complaints from police officers against fellow police officers, which cases are also there, as I'll be able to prove. They also monitor, review, audit, investigation, and action by IAU. IPOA oversees the work of IAU, the Internal Affairs Unit, which is a department in the police, to independently verify that internal police system deals with complaints against officers fairly and effectively. The authority can take over investigation if not satisfied with IAU's intervention. To conduct inspection of police premises, they seek to ensure that police premises meet basic predefined standards and that the treatment of suspects and detainees is in line with the principle laid down in the Constitution. Police premises include police stations, police posts, detention facilities, officers' residential areas. Inspection reports are prepared and shared with the relevant authorities. These are some of the things we'll ask ourselves. Have they been doing this? Are our police cells, detention centers up to international standards or up to the standards that are allowed? Then they monitor and investigate police operations and deployment. The authority independently scrutinizes policing operation affecting members of the public to ensure policing is conducted for the benefit of the people of Kenya. Like riots, do they check whether there is excessive use of force, abuse of power? Do they independently carry out investigations after maybe a riot, like what happened at the Nairobi City County Chambers? They also review the functioning of the internal disciplinary processes. The authority monitors internal police disciplinary processes to ensure fairness and effective, and may conduct surveys to assess improvement in police internal accountability. And finally, they report. They give a 6-month report, a half-year annual report, biannual report, and an annual report to inform the public of its activities and provide recommendation for improvement of the function of the National Police Service. Now we come to today. I'll not come from a point of biasness, but you cannot help coming from a point where you're trying to interrogate right from the website, and the website nowadays is a home to especially this modern age. The first place that you visit, if I go to Capsoc, I go to our website and see what Capsoc does. If I want to visit your home, I'll look at your fence and define and say that you have a good home. So I went through the website of well, granted, websites at times the people who update websites are consultants, but I didn't get why we still have Joseph Boynet as the Inspector General of Police, although that is neither here nor there. But if you come now to the main problem with IPOA, that under their issue of convictions, which we are still going to discuss in at length, IPOA has had 7 convictions since inception, since 2012, and 1 inquest under Baby Pendo. As of last month, they are trying to push for repeals, meaning that they went to court, like the Katitu case, where the appeal was lost. So that was a win for them twice, because Katitu was jailed, appealed, then the appeal fell through. So the judges decided to uphold the sentence. So if you count, those are 7 cases plus 1 inquest. There is something that I quoted from the Katitu case. It says just a small charge. It says, however, is dependent on total cooperation from the police they are investigating. Often, the police fail to provide adequate cooperation for IPOA to prosecute police officers allegedly responsible for committing crimes. In March 2016, IPOA released a report stating that police deliberately bungled some of the investigation in order to protect fellow police officers. Similarly, the IPOA board end term report, May 2012 to May 2018, at page 93, enumerates the following facts. In addition, even page 1 of 8 of Titus Ngamau Sila Kati to the Republic of 2020. In addition, the have seen effort by officers to cover up crimes with official documents and exhibits being tampered with. Shoddy and hasty investigation by police to defeat justice, charging in court of victims of police misconduct to circumvent IPOA's investigation, skewed interpretation of applicable law to justify police actions, poor record keeping and failure to maintain proper records as per the law or service standing orders, deliberate records tampering and loss of vital documents, manipulation of arms, ammunition, movement register, and unserialized or unsealed documents to circumvent justice cause. So what the judge was trying was despite this very according to the judge then, was that it was IPOA was the one on the receiving end, especially from the police. But now let's ask ourselves, because I did a small history of IPOA, how did it come about? So that they have been, you cannot remember that just before let's start away back. Remember, there were 2 human rights defenders who were shot in Nairobi. Then we had a Professor Alston, the UN Special Rapporteur on extrajudicial summary or arbitrary execution, who was sent to the UN to check, and it was a hard. So, as for investigation, Professor Alston regretted that you cannot investigate the police force. There is nobody to investigate the police force, because there were 2 things, the Mungiki and also for post-election violence. So Professor Alston was partly basing his observation on October 2008 Commission of Inquiry into Post-Election Violence report that was done by Philip Waki. I know you remember the CIPV, otherwise known as the Waki Commission. And he was saying police misconduct was top-notch. Police cannot carry independent investigation without the help of foreign police forces. And I remember at that time, there was a bit of call, even from the opposition, to have this UK, the UK special police to investigate some of the issues. Okay, am I breaking off? Okay. Apart from pointing to the extent that it was impossible to investigate the police for suspected police-inflicted deaths and injuries, the Waki Commission showed the extent to which the police were suspected of serious human rights violation during the 2007-2008 election. 1,133 deaths, 616 deaths were caused by the police because of the post-mortem were showing that there were bullet wounds, meaning that 1 in 3 deaths were caused by the police. So that was also another issue, meaning that the police used excessive force in quelling the post-election violence. Of course, the then Police Commissioner Major General Hussein Ali disputed that. So all this went to build up, and that is why CPEV, or the Waki Commission, recommended the establishment of an independent police outside the power to investigate complaints. The police also was suggesting international investigation of police killing. Nothing happened to implement the CPEV crucial recommendation. But as we went on in 2009, and as we were going to the new constitution, the then retired president appointed Philip Ransley, and then to a national task force on police reform. Ransley was given 90 days to come up a way to be able to reform the police in totality. And I remember, for those who were there, Ransley visited all the police formations, units, training schools, and police stations, and gave out his recommendation. There were 200 recommendations. And one of them that Ransley gave was of the police name, from the police force to our police, so that it was not antagonistic. The civilian perception of a service is something that of cooperation, this collaboration. So the setting up of the National Police Service Commission came into bit from that, where they are the ones to hire, recruit, appoint, promote general welfare of the police. So the police were divorced, which used to amend formation of the IPOA, check the financial spending by the National Police Service to ensure the police, the National Police Service that was to be there, adhere to international best practice in policing, receive and initiate investigation into complaints of police, monitor, review, audit police investigation, and issues of police oversight, among many others. But if that, the Kenya government had already preempted and had created through a Gazette notice a body, a police oversight board that was to be in the Ministry of Interior. It was created by the then Internal Security Minister, the late Professor George Saitoti. But then the board was to be appointed by the minister and could also be dismissed by the minister. So it self-regulation, but it was not an independent body. So, and also at the same time, you remember the civil society, they were very, very strong then, and they also wanted a body that was a civilian, that was run civilian, and it was also independent. Human Rights Commission pushed for that, and they even made a bill that the minister agreed with. So after the Ransley report, IPOA came into place. It was a milestone. That was Act number 35 of 2011. And then, as I had said, besides South Africa, only Kenya has an independent police oversight agency in Africa, the whole of Africa. Now, how was IPOA modeled? It was modeled under something called the Independent Office of Police Conduct in the UK. And the funniest thing is, because of maybe the expert that was seconded to IPOA, to the Ransley team, it went to that direction. It was more British than African, because of the expert seconded to that task force. And then what IPOA recommended, or what when it comes to the board to be appointed, the chairperson to be appointed by the president, 2 persons with public administration skills, 1 with knowledge in financial management, another one in corporate management, human rights, and another one in religious leadership. Those are the board of it. The board son who Njero, ironically, was also a member of the Ransley Task Force. So he helped draft the agency. He helped draft the IPOA Act. Then he was made there's some noise. Anyway, when IPOA was formed, it used to receive an average of 4 cases. And we are talking about 9,000. Out of those 9,000 cases, how many convictions were there? Only 3 convictions were done. And these 3 convictions were the one for Republic of Kenya versus Inspector of Police Veronica Gitahi and Police Constable Isamze, criminal appeal number 23 of 2016, Veronica Gitahi and Isamze, and then of course the title 2014, 20,000. Are there people who are not getting me clearly? Because I can see the messages.
DK, I think there's a problem with the network.
Is it clear? Can I continue?
Yes, you can. We can hear you now.
Okay. So, let me put it this way. So I was saying that they had received a total of 9,878 complaints. That is from their report, their report end of term report by 30th April 2018. So there were, I can go through the statistics. Out of the 9,878, 5,085 were classified as needing to be investigated. The rest were broken down as follows. 748 cases to be referred to the Inspection and Monitoring Directorate of War to Police, Officer Commanding Police Station cases 370, DCI 289 cases, and another 312 to be shared between Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, National Land Commission, and the Office of the Ombudsman. Of the 5,085 cases meant for investigation, 752 were reported to have been completed. For investigation, 76 cases were under legal review by IPOA. 103 were forwarded to the Office of the DPP. 11 were sent to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, with 6 referred to the National Police Service. Furthermore, 459 complaints were dismissed as failing outside IPOA's mandate. 1,642 cases were closed for what IPOA termed withdrawal by complainants, matters before court, not actionable, and insufficient evidence. Information. 64 cases were before the court. That's 12,781 with 136 cases taken to court. So from when the new board took place, the board has also listened to 3 more convictions or has had a successful 3 more. So by account, 2012 to 2018 numbers are big. And the 3 convictions, of course, they are not that, nothing to write home about. What was the problem? That's what I want to ask. The report, and when he talked of how he built IPOA from scratch. Njeru's exact message as his term came to an end was how much he and his board and IPOA senior staffers had worked in putting in place systems. There's talk of financial management awards, bureaucracy, they've put up systems, they've employed staff, they've bought buildings, but what is IPOA's mandate? That's a question. Is IPOA's mandate bureaucracy? of course, everybody, every other organization bureaucracy, 18 or 4 did it happen. IPOA's funding finances, their annual budget from their report was 96 million. That is 2012, 2013, 96 million shillings. That's what they started with. Of course, that is small money. And remember the three things we talked about: independence, resources, and teeth, or the law. So if you have less resources, you cannot be able to act. So they had amounts that they couldn't be able to work with. IPOA's budget, of course, grew to 696 million in 2017-2018 and 800 million in 2018-2019. That is like 1,000 or $10 per complaint per day. It's not much, but at least it's something that can work. They had a staff of 100 when Angelo was leaving. They had a staff of 143 employees. So if we try and extrapolate to police ratio, which I just took a number that I thought is what is there now, because I've not been in the field for a while. The police right now are about 143,000 combined. 143,000, if I'm not wrong. Compare that with 143 employees. Your 143 employees of IPOA, you want to assume that all of them do the core function or the core mandate of IPOA. All of them investigate cases, all those things. So you're looking at one person, 1,000 possible, one person investigating 10,000 at IPOA. Meaning even the driver, the subordinate staff, all of them doing the same thing. So that is also a big problem, because misconduct can either be from internal or external clients. In 2014, the then board, before they left in 2018, they developed a 4-year strategic plan to coincide with their 2018 exit. The plan was built around 4 pillars. They said compliance by the police with human rights standards, restored public confidence and trust in the police, improved detention facilities, and a functional internal affairs unit of the National Police, a model that is going to be the best in Africa, that will be operational by August of 2018. So the question is, are those pillars conditionally met? And their answer is, as your guess is as good as mine, because these are some of the things that when they left, they said that the next board should be able to push to see whether they can be able to attain this. So IPO is not percent when we come, like when I was reading some report of Madare and Korogosho. And Madare and Korogosho, there's some civil society, like the Madare Social Justice Center, which actually put IPO on toes, and they also keep numbers of the number of people who've been killed by the police or who've been injured by the police. IPO is not perceived as a friend of the, thanks to are wary of going to report their complaints to IPOA for many reasons. Until recently, one is expected to go and make a formal report at their head office. When I went through their website, I saw they have a toll-free number, 1559, where you can lodge your case. And even if you still lodge your case, you still have to visit because of evidence taking, statement taking. So the question is, isn't this intimidating, to say the least? Why can't confidential home visits be made? To what community health workers do, those people with, although it is public knowledge that informal settlement in Nairobi have well-known killer cops. Akina Ahmed, I participated in a talk where they were talking about, I think it's Ahmed, who was even featured on BBC. And he's still like in Hesi and others. And they also parade their conquest on social media, how many people they've killed, those that they want to kill. The fact that people does not have outposts in places like Madare is also a concern. As I had said, they need to be within the people so that they can be able, either at the chief's offices or at the village elders places, so that they can be able to record some of those cases. In this sense of indifference from IPOA, okay, IPOA's biggest shortfall also has been its opacity, the way it operates. They claim IPOA behaves as if it is ignorant to the fact that to succeed, it needs to operate within trust. In this sense of indifference from IPOA, they say, which has resulted in disengagement by human rights defenders who are getting disenfranchised. Many consider IPOA as part of the National Police Service, the demeanor of the staff. And at a glance, I also went through some of the advertised positions. And the advertised positions, expertise, they look at expertise in policing, investigation, and forensics. Go through their commissioners. Two, of course, the Act talks about public administration. One is ex-military, one is ex-police, one for the police. That is already ex-police officers. So there's also that thing, and you know, it's like your mother. You cannot divorce your own mother, no matter how old you grow, because that is a person that has been able to nurture you up to where you are. Any suspected death or a prison officer should automatically trigger a magistrate inquest. A magistrate inquest under Section 386 and 387 of the Criminal CPC. But does that happen? And that should be very simple for you. It should be the one that have all exonerate or implicate the police. So all custodial deaths should result in an inquiry being instituted. For example, do you remember the Parklands case where an inmate died in prison or in the cell? No inquest was opened. The sister complained and nothing went on. IPOA did not even investigate that. They said that the person killed himself inside the police cell. That is also a point of concern. IPOA does not comply with the provision of the law. If you look at most cases of extrajudicial killings in Kenya, unless the family or other actors complain, no automatic legal action occurs. All such are, just a minute. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Okay.
I'm saying that all such are automatically expected to be referred to IPOA directly by the police. That means that in IPOA's progress report, the agency should always indicate how many such cases have been forwarded to it by the police, which they don't. The progress report are silent on that. They don't say how many. Yet that will have been a good library for them to keep a tally on extrajudicial killings, irrespective of whether investigations are carried out or not. That way, there could be a credible tally to encounter killings by the police reported by the police. What we mostly have are statistics of cases reported by victims against the police. The ideal situation in cases where police bullets have been used to harm or kill civilians should be that of the OCS. This is according to a report that I read, who is in charge of the station in a given jurisdiction and should be the one to forward any suspicious police action to IPOA as a measure of accountability. This means that if the police abuse their powers in a locality, the OCS does not report it. The OCS does not report it to IPOA, then the agency should have punitive measures in dealing with such an uncompliant OCS. And if dealing with an OCS gets cumbersome, which will not be the case since IPOA has statutory powers, according to the Act, then IPOA should at the very least have its own investigator stationed at every police station, so that any case of police misconduct, they have first-hand information. IPOA can also issue a circular to all police stations that should any cases of extrajudicial killings occur, they need to be notified immediately. Failure to do so, even IPOA's own investigators will not find it easy investigating a non-cooperative police service. Further, what IPOA is doing, documenting police violation and prosecuting rogue officers, is something that was already even before IPOA. However, the establishment of IPOA was meant to scale things up. Magistrates used to do that. Police could be disciplined by the then provincial administration. Police could be disciplined by OCPDs even before IPOA. Auditors could audit their accounts. District officers, I remember, they used to visit the camps and police posts and see how the residents looks like. So whatever IPOA is doing there's nothing like reinventing the wheel. So police officers have been jailed before IPOA came into place, which is true. but IPOA was meant to be through higher conviction rate into passage in 2017. This is from a report. And it says the coroner's report was meant, this meant that in the event of any suspicious death, then there will be a legally mandated entity that will take up the matter, preserve the evidence, institute an inquiry, after which can follow, which is for human rights defenders. According to the Act, much as the Kenyan version of the coroner's office will not be quasi-judicial, like what happens in America, it is an important step or a point. The Act establishes a framework of investigations and determinations of the cause of reported unnatural deaths in the country. The Coroner Service Act says, if a body is unidentified or if a body cause of death is not known, the coroner acts as if head forensic comes to a site under the coroner's attention, then picks evidence, determines that this person was killed by this and this can be taken to a court of law. Further, the Act provides immunity from civil and criminal prosecution or any other administrative action for that matter of those who give evidence to the coroner, which is going to be a very big position. But from 2017, when the law came into place, it has not been operationalized. Is the cause of his no matter what IPOA or other statutory watchdogs like Kenya National Commission human rights do, the problem is the of recruitment guidelines. For starters, recruitment of police is the sole prerogative of the National Police Service Commission, as we had said, as recommended by the Ransley Task Force. However, the law allows the NPSC some discretion, through which it can delegate this responsibility to the Inspector General of Police. This, however, should not be a recipe for subpar recruitment, because the recruitment process should be strictly guided by NPSC Legal Notice number 41 of 2015, which says the legal regulation contains general provision, categories, gender, regional, and ethnic of the National Police recruitment, advertisement, composition of recruitment panel, calendar of activities for the entire recruitment process, determination of successful candidates, disqualification, a complaint management system, training schedule, and issuance of certificates upon appointment, and submission of the recruitment report to Parliament. More importantly, Regulation 1 to 15 of the legal notice prescribe a two-tier recruitment process, where in the initial stages, interested candidates submit applications, written application to the National Police Service Commission, which having considered education qualification, gender, ethnic balance, etc., is then required to shortlist 3 times the number of prospective officers it wishes to read about the recruitment of any individual can be brought forth. Therefore, the National Police Service Commission is supposed to conduct verification and physical action, taking into consideration how rigorous the process should be from the type of advertisement that there's going to be a vacancy to when the new recruits are reporting to training. Regulation 17 of the legal notice provides a 90-day period of completion of the recruitment cycle. $90 days, 3 months for you to not today. Unfortunately, the National Police Service Commission and the Inspector General of Police have continued their traditional one-day recruitment physical attributes, number of teeth, flat feet, height, something like that. Aside from that, flawed advertisement process, lack of public participation, cases of bribery and patronage, and the locking out of observers who are mandated by law to have access to the entire recruitment process continues to be the order of the day. I think why I'm coming to that is because in July 2014, the newly established IPOA then took a bold step by taking the National Police Service Commission to court after it observed incidences of corruption, fraud, and massive irregularities during recruitment. IPOA sought for nullification of the entire exercise, prayers which were granted by the High Court. On appeal, IPOA victory was upheld by the Court of Appeal under petition number 390 of 2014. And I know you can remember that when the president got angry, 10,000 recruits were said they were not appointed in the correct way. And civil appeal number 324 of 2014, the recruitment decision. So you can see the recruitment process serves as a point of entry to the service. And thus any attempt at professionalizing the service should begin at this level by IPOA. In conclusion, I would like to know to what extent has IPOA engaged the witness protection agencies? Should they be having a symbiotic relationship? Will it not be important to know that your identity is protected either from the external or internal clients? With a strong witness protection agency, you have a body where you can report your OCPD, your OCS, rogue cops. You can give evidence against things that you see are not the way that they're supposed to be going. But is there any evidence that they have collaborated? Therefore, as I finish, under the prevailing circumstances where regulations are ignored at will by the highest organ of the state, IPOA will remain a lame duck mitigating force inside that kind of a setup. And it is unfortunate because IPOA, the way the commissioners are also appointed, these are political appointees. So even the issue of impartiality is also problematic. And then the persons who are employed, number two, expertise, at what level do they have the expertise? At what level? Is it just because someone has served as a police officer or someone just has this? Are you there? Is IPOA just an appendage, a continuation of the National Police Service Commission? Because most of the events National Police Service are, IPOA is there. And personally, having working as some form of oversight of a regulatory body like NTSA, I know how it feels, or I know how it is when you have a body that seems to be a monolith when you compare to what you have, but you fight for your space. So I'd want to conclude my presentation with those very few words. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I know there's a problem with the network for quite a big chunk of the time, but somehow we've gotten what you wanted to say. I'm looking at the chat box. I can't see any questions. Is there any concerns that the members who are attending this session would like to engage Kimani on, or anyone who's in this platform? Elvira. Elvira. Any comment, any question?
Greetings, everyone. We're just applauding Mr. Andrew.
Greetings to you.
Yeah, I was applauding Mr. Andrew for the great info.
Thanks, Elvira.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
My name is Saman Wanjoy. Thank you very much for the session. Quite insightful. I think we have learned something, but there is so much we can talk about, but time is out. Thank you so much for the organizers.
You're most welcome, sir. Anyone else? Andrew, I just have a small opinion. because I think today's session was very informative and very interesting, but there was a huge problem with the network. So I'm just requesting if we could have a recap of this. I know it's been streaming live on Facebook, but if you can have another session, I don't know whether it's stable on the other side. We just redo this again. What's your take? Because I'm seeing people, I'm getting a lot of inbox messages that they are really interested in the topic, but they can hardly follow.
You can always do another one. There's no problem.
Okay, thank you so much.
Diana?
Any comments? Yes, Millie?
Okay. For some time now, okay, yes, I'm a cop, but to some extent, majority of the cop may think that the IPOA was formed for maybe witch hunting or for digging deep into what maybe they may be doing, and they seem it to be unfair. So what can we do to make it understood that it's just for justice purposes? It's just for justice purposes for the victims of whatever may have happened between the police and the civilians. It's not a must that that's whenever a IPOA investigates a case that a police has to be vindicated, or rather has to be found guilty. What can we do to strike a balance on the same?
Thank you, Millie. Back to the floor of the House. Any suggestions on how we can change the narrative on what the oversight organization does?
Hey, Diana.
Yes, Timothy?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Millie. I think IPOA was formed, and it is actually tried to follow Article 244 of the Constitution. I don't want to read it, but it's very clear that the police mandate has to follow Article 244 of the Constitution of Kenya that talks about issues to do with respect of strive to the high standards of professionalism, prevent corruption, comply with constitutional standards of human rights, train staff to human rights to the highest possible standards of competency, and lastly is to foster and promote relationship with the broader society. And this is exactly what IPOA also is following in terms of making sure that the police department or NPSC is working under professional standards and respect human rights, and also not committing or doing some issues to do with corruption. And what I can say is that IPOA is very impartial. And there are so many cases which have been actually not necessarily that when a police officer is suspected of committing a crime, is supposed to be taken to court and so on. So the issues of witch hunting are not there, because even IPOA officers or the board of the IPOA follows the law. They cannot just push you to court for you to be maybe prosecuted or to be convicted if there's no evidence. So IPOA also checks the threshold of the evidence that is received. If the evidence on a certain matter is not enough, the prima facie is not seen, then the case cannot be prosecuted because they don't have enough evidence. And actually, IPOA investigates, and then all matters are taken to DPP. So this is a process. And when we talk about a process, is that at each and every stage, there must be, the threshold has to be realized. If the threshold is not there, then the matter cannot go to conviction. So we need to support IPOA, all of us, members of public, NPSC. All of us need to support it, because only the people who commit or suspected of committing a violation of the law are the ones to be investigated. You cannot investigate the whole NPS. So I think we need to support, and we need to also interact much and try to understand exactly what the work of IPOA is. The act is very clear, which is IPOA Act, and it follows what the police are supposed to be doing as far as Article 244 of the Constitution is all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Timothy. Any other response to Millie's concerns?
Good evening once again, madam.
Good evening to you.
I'm Anwajoy here. I'm a cop. Timothy is my good friend. Timothy is my good friend. He was once maybe my colleague. What I could have said is IPOA tried to strive to move away to be involved in the, as in it's a police department. Let it be impartial so that when they are acting, they may be seen to be neutral. It is not about the civilians or about the police officer. Let me be a neutral ground. Timothy.
I think I agree with what Hiram is saying. The appendage or the fact that IPOA behaves like it's a continuation of the police service, that is totally wrong. Because when IPOA was being created, so to speak, the founders or the creators or from the history that I've given, there were other bodies that could have actually done what IPOA does. Any other body could do that, including the judiciary. They can keep them in check, including so many task forces, including inquests that were being opened from time to time. And I've also talked about the CPC Act, the Criminal Procedure Code, of what happens when there's a murder and why the file is open and when it's closed. But the fact that a body is funded to the tune possibly now of R1 billion shillings, and it has 1 or 2 convictions, is that value for money for Kenyans? That is a question that we should ask ourselves. And we should also ask ourselves, to what extent can IPOA get into the affairs of the National Police Service Commission? Number 2, in one of their functions, they should be the ones checking at the conditions of the cells. I mean, how many cells have they visited? Are those cells up to standard? Are the detention centers safe? If you look at the breakaway that was, I think, in Bungoma during this COVID time, and you looked at the state of that cell, I mean, is that how it's supposed to be? You write your reports as the people on the ground, as the IPOA guys on the ground, write your reports, give the recommendations, then come to the public, come tell that this is what is up. But I think also the fact that after the 2014 conviction that they went against the executive, and then the executive order was overturned, I think they had a problem from them because curtailing of their monies. So there is always that fear that they won't get enough funding. And you're asking yourself, what is most important, serving the public, or having serving the public and having them on your side, or funding? Because at times you have to strike a balance between that. Because IPOA will always seem to be an appendage of the Kenya Police or of the National Police Service, because as long as they don't convict, because their work is conviction. Same thing we do in the judiciary. If you do not convict, then I mean, that is your core mandate. Even if you don't convict, how are you going to improve? By what means are you improving the National Police Service? So I totally agree. IPOA should now start seeming independent. Let them do their own activities. Let them decentralize up to the village level. Any case, we should not be the ones reporting to IPOA that there's a case. They should be the one telling us that we have gotten this number of cases. And these are the actions that we have taken. We've forwarded to the ODPP, or we have instituted this kind of disciplinary measures, including recommendation for dismissal from service or interdiction.
Thanks, Andrew. In the interest of time, there's also a question I can see on the chat box from Joseph Karanja. He's asking, what is your take on the role of media patronage extra?
Thank you very much, Bwana Karanja. When it comes to the media, you'll notice that the Nation Media Group and the Star, from what I gathered, they keep a tally of the number of extrajudicial killings that have taken place of civilians by the police. And also the fact that, okay, let's go just a while back, what used to happen. When there's always a public uproar that there's increased crime, that there's runaway crime, when they use such kind of words, what they prompt, the media prompts the police to use more force because they want to seem to quell this kind of violence. So what happens in essence is that if there's a runaway or there are cases of incidences, heightened incidences like possibly in Kangemi, people are getting killed or mugged, and then there's media attention in Kangemi, the whole police force starts to focus in Kangemi. If today research in West Pokot shows that there's an increase in cattle rustling, media shows people being butchered, extrajudicial killings, you know what will happen? A baraza is called, the heads of police, they want shoot to kill. The media takes that as a way of showing that the police are working, or as a way of assisting the police. But the media should be very neutral. It should investigate like what it does in America, what happened and to what extent. Okay, there's something that I did not mention, and it's something that I know Timothy is very attached to IPOA for obvious reasons, but think of technology and leveraging on technology. Things like body cams, vehicle cams, where the police are mandated and should have body cams, body cameras, that is, or on their buttons or on their coats. Their vehicle should have cameras to record once the guy is in official uniform, so that these records can be downloaded directly to IPOA. Because when that George Floyd case happened, within very few hours, we had the clip, the one that was being taken by members of the public, and a confidential one that was taken by the police, by the body cams. So that is something also to check on. Back to the question, when it comes to the media plays both the negative and the positive. If you go to social media, for example, you'll find Hesi, you'll find those killer cops, Hesi, you'll find Hesi Wadandora, you'll find those Akina Ahmed. They show the pictures of young kids that they're going to kill. And then after a few days, the kid is killed. Although there are those people who say, that's a good thing, but that is how media affects negatively. You go to extrajudicial networks, for example, the Mathare Social Criminal Center, Justice Center. It plays a big role, including the one by Korogosho, to keep IPOA and the police on check, because they also have a tally of how many people have been killed, and they also push to see if these cases are taken up to the end. If you go to Independent Medical Legal Unit, IMLU, Kenya National Human Commission of Kenya National Human Commission of Rights Commission, you find that they also keep a tally, and they also pay lawyers. Even at times, they also do it pro bono to represent victims or families of victims of extrajudicial killings. So those are some ways, and I think because we cannot exhaust all of them, but I think the media has a very big part to show that if you just follow the law, the way the law is, you do not have to go to extrajudicial ways of handling crime. And IPOA now can partner with technology. They can leverage on technology. They can partner with these bodies to ensure that they don't have to, someone doesn't have to come to the office to report a crime. IPOA should be the one that is following up on these issues right from the ground. Thank you.
Thank you, DK. I can't see any more questions on the chat box.
Dana.
Anything? Yes, Timothy?
Just a few info that I want to share about IPOA. IPOA has some regional offices. It has a regional office in Western, in Mega, in Kisumu, in Mombasa, in Nyeri, in Meru, in Garissa, Eldoret, and Nakuru. All these were brought closer to the people so that people can have access to IPOA offices. And also, they cooperate well with the stakeholders. Stakeholders have been given mandate to refer all cases to IPOA, so that you don't have to travel all the way, maybe from Kisii, and there's a National Commission of Human Rights office. You just go to the Kenya National Commission of Human Rights, you record a complaint, and then they refer the complaint to IPOA Kisumu so that they can be able to handle. Another thing is that recently they launched the toll-free number, which is 1559, so that you can even call without using any money from the comfort of your room. You can be attended to. other thing is you can lodge a complaint through the website. You can use email addresses. So if at all maybe you are in a very remote area or a place that you cannot be able to reach for, you get into any government office and then they'll be able to record or make a call to IPOA so that you can be assisted. So let's make use of these platforms, social media, and also another platform that IPOA normally use nowadays is the Twitter, the Facebook. So anything you write, maybe a complaint, you can even visit Twitter for IPOA, the Facebook account, and then the complaints officers will be able to pick that complaint from there and try to register. We have a system, or IPOA has a system called Electronic Content Management System, which a complaint can be recorded anywhere. And if it is a complaint from Kisumu, it can be recorded in Garissa. And then the person registering the complaint will be given a number so that you can make a follow-up. So many things have been done, and I know many things will come through so that policing in Kenya can be improved. Thank you.
Thank you, Timothy. Anyone else before we wind up? So members, thank you so much for sparing time to be with us up to this hour. Andrew, we are very grateful for the wonderful presentation that you have done. We have learned so much, and it will only be fair to say that yes, we know that I've made some strides in enhancing a lot of room for improvements. So we people who are here as criminologists and security experts have a role to play to lobby and push the agenda so that we can see a lot of improvements being made in the particular areas of concerns that Andrew has raised in the session. So without further ado, I'm going to ask PK to close the session with a word of prayer, and then we can call it an evening. PK, karibu.
Thank you so much, Secretary General Diana, and thank you, delegates, for finding time to be in this session, which we have learned a lot. Today has been one of those days whereby you don't want to miss. It has been an interesting one, and we wish even in future the knowledge that we have gained today will be of great importance. So we'll close with a word of prayer. My name is Paul Ngetich, and I'm the events planning director. So we'll close with a word of prayer. Almighty Father, in the name of Jesus, we want to thank you for all the benefits that we have ever received, and especially this day. We thank you for this evening, and we thank you for the training that we have participated together as criminologists in our society, that is the Kenya Professional Society of Criminology. Almighty Father, we thank you for the presenters. We thank you for all the delegates that have attended this webinar training. Almighty Father, as we move forward as KEPSOC, we also want to believe and trust that you are going to be with us in all the programs that we are planning. We want to pray this and bless the delegates as they also proceed with their own activities in their different professional fields. Almighty Father, as professionals, we want to be the professionals in this country, and we want to regulate with your guidance. Almighty Father, we want to pray this, believing and trusting in Jesus' name as we say, Lord, hear us. Lord,
Amen.
Lord, graciously hear us.
Amen.
Amen.